Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. So, today we have a last topic of chapter number 20, that is 20.18 Basic Forces of Nature. Okay. Now today we are studying the nature of forces. Actually, this is an informative uh, type of topic. So, I'll provide information, inshallah. Actually, this topic is not conceptual as you are expecting. So, we are discussing the basic nature of forces. Actually, why we are studying this topic? What is the reason that we are studying this topic? So, remember, to understand the properties of elementary particles, you know that the elementary particles are fundamental particles. Fundamental particles are elementary particle. If you want to understand the properties of elementary particles, so you have to describe the forces between them. Means if you want to know about the elementary particle, what is meant by elementary particle, what is its properties, so you should know about the nature of forces between them. Okay. So for the building block element, which is the next topic, which is out of course, in that topic we will study the elementary particles and the other particles, composite particles. So for that topic we should understand the nature of the forces. Okay. There are four forces in our nature. The first force is the strong nuclear force. The other force is electromagnetic force. The third force is electro weak force and weak nuclear force. Okay, not electro weak force, weak nuclear force. And the fourth one is gravitational force. How many forces? Four forces. The first one is strong nuclear force, electromagnetic force, weak nuclear force, and the gravitational force. So there are four forces in our nature. So remember, the first one is strong nuclear force. So first we are studying the strong nuclear force. Okay. What is strong nuclear force? Remember, strong nuclear force is a very short range force. It is a very short range. How many short range? It will be act if the distance between the nucleons is 10 power minus 15 or less than 10 power minus 15. So it has very short range force. It acts in a very smaller distance. Okay. And it is responsible for the binding of two protons and neutrons. So it binds the proton and neutrons together into the nuclei. This force represents the glue that holds the nucleus. So the glue means the stickness. So proton and neutron stick to one another. So it provides the glue between the nucleons, and it is the strongest force of our universe, of our nature. It is the strongest of all forces, and it is the strongest of all forces, very short range, and it is if the separation is greater than 10 power minus 15, so this force will be vanished. And remember, this force is charge independent. This force is charge independent, is not depending upon the charge. It is only depending upon the mass defect only. Okay. So this is all about the strong nuclear force. The second one is electromagnetic force. Electromagnetic force. What is the strength? Look at the strength. It is 10 power minus 2 times of the strong nuclear force. 10 power minus 2 times means 100 times smaller than the strong nuclear force. And it is binding the atoms together, binding the molecules together. If there are two atoms if there are two molecules, they bound to one another. This force is called electromagnetic force, and it is a charge dependent force. It is a long range force. Long range means it acts at a very long distance. So that is called, these forces are also called action at a distance. Action at a distance means when there is a large distance between them, then this force is also will be exist there. Okay, long range force, and it is following inverse square law, means force and distance will be inversely proportional to, if you increase the distance, the force will be get decreases. So it follows inverse square law. Okay, and it is a weaker force, charge dependent force. Okay, now the third one is weak nuclear force. Third one is weak nuclear force. This nuclear force tends to produce instability in nuclei. So this force produces instability in the certain nuclei. It is responsible for the most radioactive processes. Most radioactive processes such as beta decay. So in beta decay, weak nuclear force is involved. Okay, and this weak nuclear force, look at the strength, it is 10 power minus 9 times to the strong nuclear force. Okay, it means this weak nuclear force is 1 billion times weaker than the strong nuclear force. 1 billion times. 10 power 9 means billion. So 1 billion times weaker than the strong nuclear force. Okay. Now the scientist that is called Dr. Abdul Salam. Dr. Abdul Salam, he presented grand unification theory, and he said that the weak and electromagnetic force are two manifestation of a single force, that is called electro weak force. Means both have relatively same range, so both are the manifestation of one another, both are charge dependent. So that is why combinedly Dr. Abdul Salam combined these two forces into a single force. So Dr. Abdul Salam combined electromagnetic force plus weak nuclear force, and it is called it electro weak force. Electro weak force. So this is called grand unification theory. Okay, now the fourth force is gravitational force. The fourth force is gravitational force. Okay, gravitational force depend on masses, and it is also follows inverse square law. Means if the distance is increasing, the force will be get decreasing by square times. Okay, and it is 10 power minus 38 times weaker. 10 power minus 38 times weaker than the strong nuclear force. So it is very, very weaker force, and this force is negligible for elementary particles, and this force interaction between the heavenly bodies like planets, stars, galaxies, etc. So, and this is the weakest force of our nature, and it is always attractive in our nature. So basically there are four forces in our nature, but according to Dr. Abdul Salam, there are three forces in our nature: the strong nuclear force, the electroweak force, and the gravitational force. So these are the four basic forces, and according to Dr. Abdul Salam, there are three basic natural forces in our nature. So this is all about this topic. So this is an informative topic. There is no such concept involved in this topic. If you have any query, I think you should know about this topic, because these are all the information there. So if you have any query, so you can ask in your comments. I'll answer it inshallah. Okay, take care. Allah Hafiz.